Sunshine is here. And hello, beloved church family of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Paul Prasuti, and I'll be your host tonight. I welcome you to our midweek oasis, our Wednesday night service. As you'll be able to experience tonight, our Wednesday night oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build upon the theme of the previous Sunday, sharing in a satsang style, expressing science of mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings be informal, intimate, and interactive. Our theme for 2023 is Living Out Loud, and our monthly theme for November is the mundane, the sacred, and the profane. Oh my. Last Sunday, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman introduced ideas inspired by the talk title of The Profane. And tonight, our speaker will continue the exploration of this same topic. So as we gather tonight, I really want to welcome you, whether you're watching live right now or watching on our YouTube channel later. Early in her ministry with us, Reverend Sunshine invited us to come to the center well. And to do so, she shared these 6 C's for us to consider and incorporate. Come to the center with a heart of love and tenderness. That's compassion. Come ready to exchange openly. And that's what we're going to do tonight. It's called communication. Come in friendship and family. I see them all with us. Camaraderie. Come in harmony and ready to share. I know we're all in communion on that. Come in partnership and cooperation for collaboration, and that will be done. Come in spiritual awareness and truth, and I know our speaker will bring that to us, and it's known as consciousness. As we move into the program tonight, these 6 C's are the premise of sharing a wonderful evening with you tonight. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome again. And please check out our website, www.oaklandcsl.org, and click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address. Once you do, you begin receiving the Village News newsletter once a week in your email. It has all of the information on what is happening at the center in the coming weeks. Before we get started with the talk, please mute your own audio microphone during tonight's service. When you mute your own audio microphone, you can leave your cameras on, but muting the microphone will improve the quality of our recording and tonight's transmission. So please stay tuned until the end, because we'll have special and important announcements to share with you. So right now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight. We call her an encore congregant because she's been asked to come. Now, I think this is your 3rd time, Crystal. Is that right?
Yep.
Well, the cat's out of the bag. It's Crystal Fry. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Blending neuroscience, conscious leadership models, spirituality, and a unique international perspective on diversity, Crystal Fry is a powerful change agent in her work as a coach, facilitator, and fear slayer. Whether delivering leadership development initiatives, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging interventions, life coaching, or spiritual messages from beyond, she brings clarity and an enthusiastic sense of possibility to any challenge. Going deep to light up and overcome any shadows of fear and limitation, she helps bring more love and more meaningful and fulfilling experiences to life. Crystal inspires those around her, and she has inspired me in great ways to identify and activate their highest and best possible outcomes with the power of presence and response ability. So with that in mind, let's welcome Crystal. And as we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. Crystal, will you be doing the honors tonight?
Thank you so much, Paul. And I already have a confession because I wasn't actually asked to do this talk. I asked to do a talk, and the night opened up. So giving thanks for that. Spirit told me this morning that I would know who was to pray when we got to this moment, and I do. I knew it from the moment you clapped. Reverend Deb Hammond, would you please open us in prayer tonight?
How did I know you were coming my way? I thought you all already had this figured out. I would be honored. Thank you, Crystal. So let us just allow your eyes to close and let us just take in a deep breath right here and right now, recognizing that there is truly only the one life, and that life is God. That life is perfect. That life is the life of each and every one of us that's here in this gathering right in this very moment. Those individuals that will watch this broadcast at a later time, knowing that regardless of the place, regardless of the time, that is still all God and it's all perfect. What I know is that in this moment, giving thanks for each and every person that has anything to do or has had anything to do with this gathering tonight, all the hands and hearts that have made this possible, knowing that each one is blessed, blessing Oakland Centers for Spiritual Living, knowing that this community is a vibrant opening for so many people, so many hearts, so many opportunities to just show up. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're showing up, allowing Spirit to do its perfect thing in each one of us, blessing and opening our hearts and our minds to receive that Crystal brings to us tonight. Giving thanks for this time together. I am grateful for all of this. And I just release this and anchor this with, and so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Reverend.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, here we go. Speaking on the profane. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about money. To me, there has been no more profane topic in this lifetime. And I want to send out a trigger warning. I actually think that probably most of my talks are going to require a trigger warning because I'm really interested in talking to you about the hard stuff, about the real stuff, and about the actual application of the principles that we learn in this philosophy. So the trigger warning is for you and me. I don't have a lot of experience talking about these things in public. And in my last talk, I noticed I actually triggered myself. So I'm just going to say, if I get triggered, I'm going to stop and take a breath. And I invite you to do the same thing. If anything that I say tonight is triggering to you, I want you to use the power of the breath just to regulate and soothe your nervous system. Take care of yourself first. Okay, so I'm going to go way back on this one because I've been a seer and a seeker for as long as I can remember. I have always been drawn to nature, to the mysterious, to the divine. I have always felt God's love. And I want to be very clear what I mean by God in this talk. I'm talking about the life force. I'm talking about the one most high. I'm talking about whatever it is that brings you to a spiritual community. That thing. So anytime I use the word God tonight, I want you to know that it is all inclusive. And for me, this is just the word I've landed on and I've already built and have a long-standing relationship with. So when I say I can feel God's love, I mean that for as long as I can remember having consciousness, I have felt love, I felt faith, and I felt this sense of positive expectancy. I don't know why. um, it may be because of the circumstances. I may have been looking for an escape early on, but it's the only reality I know. So I'm going to speak from that perspective of my experience and my truth. So, knowing God's love has meant a lot to me. But there have been a few times in my life, 3 to be exact, that I've had crisis of faith. And the first one came very early, probably 7 or 8 years old, when I realized that we were poor and what that meant. And when I think about it now, I really feel a lot of compassion for my parents because I put the responsibility squarely on them. I looked around at my community. We were in a very wealthy community, and it looked like everybody else had it together. So I was like, what's wrong with them? And why, if God loves me, would God put me in this position of obvious struggle, strife, right? I noticed a lot of the dysfunction that came along with poverty. So that was the first time that I remember feeling like, wait a minute, I don't know if I can trust this thing that is in my heart. I don't know if I can really believe. But I got past it. That one faded with time. I don't really remember how it was so early on, but by 11 or 12, I was way, way back on the faith and positive expectancy, the knowing that we talked about in the meditation today, just that knowing that there was a love for me and a love within me that was greater than the circumstances of my life and the dysfunction of my family. The next crisis of faith came when I was 22. Literally, speaking of profanity, a devil worshiping prostitute subletted my apartment while I went away on a study abroad and totally messed up my housing situation, my financial situation, even a lot of my important relationships. And that's a whole other talk. But I will say that even from that experience, good things came. One of my friends who was at the divinity school got to practice doing an exorcism in my apartment. And we all really grew from that. We grew together from that experience and built some strong bonds and strengthened our own faith and sacred communion. But the most recent crisis of faith happened this year. And if you've watched any of my other talks, I have alluded to it. It was really weird because it was happening so far, 5 years into what's been probably a resurgence, like the greatest resurgence of faith, of spirituality, joining this community, finding beautiful people like you who also believe in our oneness and the power of God, seekers and seers like myself who come together to uplift these ideas and to build a world that works for everyone, right? Like I really found my place here and I've been grooving. But it was during one of our Wednesday night sat songs with back when we were in person before the pandemic, and it was with Reverend Eloise Oliver. And she had us high as kites. We were all soaring, just knowing our oneness, just feeling it, feeling the love, really. She's such a powerful communicator. But when the money basket came around, the whole vibe in the room shifted. And Revi, in her classic style, called us out. She said, "This community doesn't value money." I could feel what she meant. I knew what she meant, but I didn't really like being called out, to be perfectly honest. And I really didn't like her next move, which was to have us repeat the affirmation, "I love money and money loves me." Ugh. I like spit it out of my mouth as soon as I said it. I said, what is going on here? Money, the root of all evil, the great oppressive structure of the world, the bullshit monetary system that is destroying the planet and people. You want me to get on board with that right now? Are you sure? I walked away knowing that I had a lot of work to do around abundance mindset. And so I accepted the call. I started practicing it on the way back with my friend. We walked for miles that night just talking about what had happened and what we were feeling. And we practiced saying it together. I love money. I love money, right? Just trying to get on board. Yes. And since then, I've taken a couple classes and I did the little Randall Price abundance, 40 days of abundance thing. I've been really working on the mindsets and shifting. And I thought that that was going to be enough. Finances were going pretty well. For a while, it's been a while that savings are going up, debt's going down. My earning potential is increasing, right? I'm charging more an hour than I ever dreamed possible. It's been going pretty well until this year, until I lost the biggest contract that I'd ever had, and all of my stuff around money, my trauma around money started coming up. And turns out that these mindset practices, while they are great and they built something fantastic for me to come back to once the healing has occurred, it was not enough to go at that deep trauma that comes from poverty. And the reason why I think money is so profane is this feeling of not enoughness that so many people in the world are experiencing constantly. Like when I say that I had a financial crisis, I did not, because I still have savings and I can make my bills and my rent in a week, if I really put my mind to it. That sets me off from 70% of Americans. 70% of Americans right now are living with no savings. So I know that it wasn't an actual crisis, but that's what trauma does. Trauma will come back, and once you trigger that trauma, it's like you're back in the circumstances of your past. And so that's what I've been dealing with all this year. And it's been really tough because, first of all, my identity is very rooted in this community, in this faith, in abundance mindset. It's what I see in nature. It's what I believe. It is the truth of me. And yet circumstances have looked different, right? Not the way that I thought they should. Not the way that I expected that God would reward me for doing the work that I'm doing. I said, hey, God, I'm following your, how can I say it? It's like guidance, right? Spiritual guidance. I sit down, I pray every day, I listen to my heart. I'm going after what feels like is my thing to do at the right pace with the right focus. So why am I not being rewarded correctly? So I've had to do a lot of work on this. And it's kind of all come around. I'm starting to get to the place where the tides have turned, and I'm starting to understand just how things have been magnificently revealed for healing this year. And so tonight I want to share with you a couple of miracles. They're minor miracles, but they're really fun ones that have helped to restore my faith. And this is what I think is the true meaning of witnessing. You know how like in Christian churches, they say witnessing is about like going out and converting others and make sure that they believe exactly what you believe so that you can, they can go to heaven too. That's not how I see it. I think witnessing is about sharing the miracles, sharing the ways that God, that life force, that the universe cares for us, provides for us, the mysterious ways in which God works. And so that's what I want to share tonight. It's some very mysterious circumstances that happened recently. So I decided, well, last year I wanted to celebrate 10 years of business. And I couldn't do it because I had to go home to Ohio and take care of some family stuff. So I knew that this year I would be celebrating 11 years of business on 11/11. Now that's more my style. If any of you know me, I love angel numbers and my favorite number is 111. So it was all making sense, perfectly aligned. But then I realized that I didn't have the budget to do the kind of event that I was thinking, right? It was fancy. It was in an event space. Everybody in my professional circle my ego wants to prove and impress was going to be there, right? Fancy dinner, maybe some speeches. Well, it just wasn't happening. I could tell it wasn't the moment because I'm about to go on one of the most expensive trips of my life, and it's not feeling like the right time to also be throwing an expensive event. So I decided, okay, that doesn't mean I'm not going to celebrate. There are options. Well, in came ego and the most profane saying, no way. What's there to celebrate? This business is a failure. Nothing's sustainable. Why would we even get together? It's shameful where you're at 11 years into this business. Whew. I heard those voices, but I knew that they weren't my truth. I knew that I needed to celebrate anyways. I knew that I had to find the way. So I decided to improvise. I decided to actually use this opportunity as a way to coerce my business partners into like a little retreat because I've been wanting to spend time with them all year, but it wasn't happening. So I'm like, okay, I'll get my business partners to come. And then a client of mine has been offering for years to loan me his lake house. And I was like, okay, great. I'll get the lake house. I'll get the Fear Slayers. We'll bring it all together. We'll celebrate. It'll be a little bit about me, but mostly about we, which is what I would prefer in this moment anyways. It's all good. So I make these plans and I start to ask myself over and over, what's the best that could happen? And I've been playing with this for a little while. And let me tell you, it is miracle generating. The more that I ask this question, the more that the universe shows me. And so I'm very excited to be sharing it. The time came, I was on the train to Sacramento where I would meet up with my Fear Slayers. We would drive together to the Lake of Pines, going to my client's house. Everything is in order. I'm stoked about how it's working out. Glad I didn't have to do event planning. All is well. So I get on the train, I'm headed there, and I start to feel some not enoughness. I'm writing the card for one of the Fear Slayers' mothers. She's turning 75. And I'm thinking, why don't you have a gift for the birthday? I had blocked out some time and worked right through the time. I didn't know what to get her. So here I am with this card that I want to give her, writing a message from my heart. And again, the profanity of not enoughness came back saying that certainly this card, which was now a little beat up and with some watermarks because I'd been traveling with it, certainly this is not enough. I said, well, maybe I should give her the $100 from my wallet. That would be a good gift, right? And I thought, well, gosh, the dinner that you're taking her out to tonight is not even really in your budget. Certainly an extra $100 is not in your budget. And also, I don't think it's a good idea to give away your prosperity, the symbol of your prosperity right now, Crystal. So I talk myself out of it. I remind myself, I am enough. This is enough. It's all enough. My presence is enough. And I get right past that. And then I thought, oh, but wait a minute. What about the housewarming gift? Because they moved into a new house. I'm going to be showing up empty-handed for the birthday, empty-handed for the housewarming gift. Oh, not enoughness. So I say, okay, wait. I'll just get there. I'll see what they need. I'll buy it. That happened last time. It was so great. I surprised them with just the right thing that fit in the place. I'll do it again. I'll take care of this next week. Everything's okay. Right? So I tap into the joy of the upcoming reunions and I soothe myself and that not enoughness. And then I arrive. Nobody's looking for gifts from me. They're happy to see me. And when we get to the restaurant, we're walking in, and Desi says, "This is going to be a very affordable meal." I'm looking at the spot like, I don't know what affordable is to you, but I can already tell from the pepper mill that this is not an affordable place. Turns out, when Desi's mom was getting ready for dinner, she wanted to wear a purse that she hadn't used in a while. So when she pulled down that purse, a backpack fell from the closet, hit her on the head, and out came $100 bill. Just the thing that I thought would be the right gift now applied to our dinner bill. I had the most delicious 5-course meal for about 40 bucks. Okay, this to me was just the first sign of things are okay and things are working out. Now in the morning, we went home. We had the most amazing time. We went home. I slept over. I got to see their house. It was so beautiful. It was so full because they'd actually downsized a bit that I realized it was probably good I hadn't brought them something that I imagined they might need. And I noticed there was a wall in their house. Everything else was full, but there was this one wall that was just a little empty. And I said, "Oh, what's going on there? Like, why didn't you put up?" And I thought of some art that they had in their last house that would go great there. And she said, "Oh no, it's because we had a feng shui person come, and in that part, it's the entrance of the home. We need some ocean art." So I'm like, internally, I'm like, there it is. I know what I'm going to get these folks, and it was great. They took me over to Kawami's house, my other fear slayer. I was going to ride with her, and so we head off to the lake house, and 2 houses. As we slow down to find the house, we're looking at the addresses. I notice right on the curb a huge picture printed on canvas with a beautiful wood frame ocean art. Exactly the thing that I would like to have purchased and placed in my friend's home, in that spot where I saw a need. Okay, and now the next part was tough because Kawami did not want to stop. Of course, later it all made sense to me. We were new to the community, didn't want to be the people picking out of the trash, but I talked her into it and she allowed me, and it became a huge joke because it wouldn't fit in the back of the car. Her 2 daughters had to carry it in the back seat across their legs. But now it's all delight. It's all joy. We cannot believe we found this thing. I tell them the story of the night below, of deciding that I would buy ocean art as soon as I got home. It was 2 hours later that I found it on the curb. And I want to show a picture of this. This is my friend Desi in front of the ocean art. I don't know if you can tell, but it's not like your average print on canvas. It's really high quality print, and it has a really nice frame around it. To be perfectly honest, it's probably nicer than anything I would have gotten. And this is how the divine works, if you let it. And this also is when the profane turns sacred. Okay, all of that not enoughness, the money, the questions of money, those are all so complicated and so twisted in this dimension. But the supply, the source, the love is there in the profane. And the distinction that we see between the mundane, the profane, and the sacred, it's a distinction that we assign, not necessarily a natural distinction. Because we know there is only one, we also know that this outpicturing of the profane is just an outpicturing of our false sense of separation. And so I can see now, this whole year, this whole crisis, whether it's a crisis of faith, a financial crisis, whatever you want it to say, I can see very clearly now how it was helping me to access the places where healing wanted to happen. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful to be able to see that. And I'm so grateful for every single person in this community and in my community that have supported me through this. It's these little things, these minor miracles that restore my faith and help me to know again. And one of my friends, when I told her the story, she's an atheist, and she said, "Ah, what a coincidence." So it was like she kind of like pulled it into the mundane. And I was going to argue with her, and I said, no, that's fine, because it's all somatics, right? There is knowing our oneness, there is not difference in the profane, the sacred, and the mundane. It's all one, as we are all one. And so I can see this for myself. But what about the rest of the world? There is something that happens when I try to take this understanding, this knowing, and apply it to the greater circumstances. To be totally honest, it feels disrespectful to the children in particular, but to every human that is experiencing suffering of any kind. When I begin to transfer this learning, this knowing to other people's circumstance, it just doesn't feel right to me. And so this is actually where I'm going to open our conversation, because I want to tap into the wisdom of this room. And I want to know how you all do it. I want to know, how do we see the divine in the profane? I have some ideas. I'm able to achieve that oneness that surpasses, that peace that surpasses all things when I lift the veil in meditation, in song, in prayer and praise. I want to know how you all do it. And I think I already saw somebody is responding in the chat. Oh, good. Reverend Sunshine says it's not a minor miracle. Well, I was just thinking compared to like a miraculous healing or something, no miracle is minor in God. I agree with that. So what do you got? So let's talk.
Okay, guys, if you would you turn on your cameras and unmute yourself, go into gallery view, and if you would like to contribute to the conversation, please raise your hand. I'll recognize you, or you can use your raise hand button at the bottom. And already we have someone for you, Crystal, and it's Dr. Judith. Dr. Judith?
Wonderful.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, something that I would tend to call it ordinary, except everything sort of fell together today with something. I had I talked to a friend yesterday, and because I wanted to tell him I was going to be glad to see him. Our Thanksgiving we're having on Friday. So I'm telling him I'm so happy that he was coming and so forth. Someone was going to give him a ride. And I said Friday, and he said, oh no, it's on Saturday. So I said, no, Philip, no, I know absolutely it's on Friday. And he's telling me that the person who's driving him, the people, Paul and Stephanie, they said they told him Saturday. And I just think that because he's a little off in his thinking these days, that he was thinking something else. But then when I got off the phone, I decided I would call his ride, which are also old friends of mine, and say, um, I just wanted to let you know that Philip thinks that this is our Thanksgiving is happening on Saturday. And they said, well, yeah. I said, no. I said, I don't know what you're thinking. It's Friday and we're going to be there at 2:00. And they went and they looked up, they found the emails and they said, oh yeah. So I have given them an extra day to get ready. And otherwise, if I wasn't trying to take care of this one person, which is not a bad thing to do given his state, to make sure that they knew that he thought that way, they would have been going merrily along and shown up on Saturday, where there wouldn't be anybody there anymore. And so it's a funny kind of miracle, but it feels like a miracle that it took place.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you. I'm done.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Judith.
Yeah. Constance, I see your hand raised.
Crystal, I know what you're talking about in terms of the bigger picture and how to deal with that. And, sometimes I get into my not enough-ness by thinking that there's something wrong with me, that I'm not feeling worse about what's going on. And part of it is that I have I really believe that there's a bigger picture that I can't see. And at the same time, I've been watching a series on PBS called Little Bird. And if anyone hasn't watched it, I would highly recommend it, because it's about a young woman her family was broken up in the 60s scoop in Canada. And that was a time, and it happened in the States too, but in Canada, there was a concentrated, after the residential schools, the residential schools were still going on, but children were just taken from their families for the slimmest of reasons and adopted out. And so the story is about a woman who finds that out and starts to reconnect. And so there's incredible amounts of pain in this. And when I watch it, I realize I had to watch it, and I can't watch it before I go to bed because it's just too painful. And there's incredible amounts of love and spirituality going on at the same time. And I know that, and I try to hold those two things at the same time. And that one particularly, I think maybe because I worked in that community for so long, I don't quite know why it impacts me so deeply to watch that. But I do know that whole thing about maybe I'm not good enough because I'm not feeling bad enough, that can come up for me. And I go, so it is not an easy that's not an easy paradox to deal with.
Thank you. It's funny, you feel bad for not feeling bad enough, and I think I tend to feel bad for not feeling good enough. Like if I were totally grounded in this faith, I would have no doubt, and I would hold that knowing and hold both with ease and grace. I don't know, something other than what I do. Sabrina, I would love to hear from you.
Crystal, this was so good. Thank you so much.
It was just today my boss in a secular nonprofit told me about God winks. And I never heard of this series about God winks. And it's about these coincidences. And this is the way you said, the mysterious way that God works for us. This is, yes, this is the mysterious way that God talks to me, that God talks to us, I feel like. And I appreciated your presentation so much because it was the practical application of the theories. And as I'm listening to all of your stories that you shared along the way, I kept saying, yes, Crystal, yes. And thank you for, especially during this time of Thanksgiving, reminding me that the not enoughness is not God's voice. It's just not God's voice. And so I really appreciate everything that you brought tonight. And I just, from the moment I met you, just had God winks. So thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Same.
Someone else have something that they wish to share or answer the question of how do we see the divine in the profane?
Peter, did you unmute to speak to us?
Oh, no, I was just unfreezing my video. Sorry.
How do you deal with the profane? Are you able to see the divine?
If I can get out of my own way, sometimes.
Amen.
And sometimes that takes some time to see that. I might have something happen, a problem with one of my kids, my cat is very old and isn't expected to live very long. And I guess one of the little miracles is that she seems to be doing fine, despite what the vet said. And that to me is a little miracle because she's been with me for 21 years. And I'm grateful to have her as long as I do have. So that's a little miracle that I've seen happen in my life. So it's just each day I wake up and say, okay, what is today going to bring? I like that idea of the God winks, those things that come along that are unexpected, those little things that give me encouragement. See, my video froze again.
Oh, there you go.
There I am. Okay. So thank you. I'm complete. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. I think we're all so happy to hear about your cat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm asking the really hard question of how do you see the divine in the most profane, in economic oppression, in war, in death? Does anybody have anything? Are we all just out here making it up?
Alice, go ahead.
Let me do my job here. Oh, I can't. Okay. Here. Okay. Here I am. Hi. Crystal, this has been just a wonderful share, and I really want to thank you for being so open. I know for me, we were very poor, and we were African American, and so the things that you teach an African American child in Iowa are different than you teach a non-African American child in Iowa. And so, and a lot of things were based on protection and keeping safe, and really based on fear. And I know that I always fought against those things because, you know, oh, they're nice people. Everybody's nice, and I'm having such a good time. But those teachings, that information lives with you, and it's good, strong, helpful information. It's just a problem when you have to share that with children who aren't able to really process, but the world is not going to let your child process. Your child has to do it, you know, just to stay safe, and to make it to school, and to make it to another day, and not be hurt. And so a lot of those really good teaching and loving teachings, I fought against. And so, so as I've grown, I've matured, and I see my reality. And sometimes those things help me, and sometimes those things hurt me, the not enough kind of things. And this is what people will do, and this is what people will say. And and I know, like, our teaching has been really helpful for me, is to, you know, stay in the present, be in the present moment, be an adult, be who you are in the present moment. Don't bring the 5-year-old child's response to the present moment. And that review your past with your present, so that sacred, the profane, it all is a blend. It is all, for me, a thing that I need to review. Why am I having this response? Why do I have this fear? Why am I looking at the situation like that? This, whether it's a positive or a negative, and just to kind of go back that, oh, well, this is how this was taught to me to assist me when I was a child and could not protect myself. Do I still need to process it the same way as an adult? And you know, I've realized that I've carried a lot of instruction, a lot of knowing from the past that doesn't serve me well. And so it gets mixed up with the sacred and the profane. And so it takes, you know, being in the present moment, and standing back and actually seeing the present moment, not bringing my past with me and responding the way I was taught, or the way that has worked in different situations in the past, in my present, because that is not the current situation. You know, that is not the current situation, because I am not that same person. And so the sacred and the profane kind of mix a lot, and you see it. And like sometimes, like really humiliating things happen. And I'm more able now to step back and feel compassion for that other person, because they're spewing out their hurt and their fear. And it really has nothing to do with me. I mean, it does and it doesn't, but it is not mine to hold. And I think the whole conversation about the mundane, the sacred, and the profane is an excellent way of just for me just to review and go through, like, when I'm preparing for something, am I preparing because of lack and limitation? Am I doing this because I'm using an old perception of the situation, not the present situation that I have no idea, what's going on, and that what do I want to bring into the conversation? So yeah, I don't know if I'm even making any sense, but your talk is really good as far for me in just being in the present moment and stepping back and not bringing a past or into it, because it doesn't have any place. I am here, I am one with that other person no matter what. So anyway, I think that's me.
Yes, Alice, I think I captured your main points too. You're making a lot of sense. And Paul, would you say we have time for one more share?
Yes, let's do one more.
Okay.
Anybody?
Reverend Sunshine, I saw you shake your head when I said, are we out here just willy-nilly making it up? Did you have something to add?
I don't remember shaking my head, so maybe I was just responding just subconsciously. And no, we're not making it up, and even if we thought we were making it up, it's real because we feel it's real. I mean, I think that's what we have to manage to is our perceptions, and kind of break that down. But I just wanted to say to you and to everyone, I appreciate this conversation, and that this is what I encourage from the pulpit. This is the work. For everything Alice just said and everybody else is like to look at our own stuff and to reflect on it, to not overly analyze it, but to really understand where we're coming from, and even to notice that we're coming from that place, because sometimes it's on a subconscious level. So we need to at least know and allow ourselves awareness that we feel the way we do, to take a look at it to see if it's in alignment with our principles and practices, and then to incorporate it into those principles and practices so that we can make it in alignment with what we're trying to demonstrate, because sometimes it's out of alignment. There's no way you're going to be able to demonstrate what it is you're looking for, because you're off in left field and don't know it. So this is it. I'm proud of all of you and me and all of you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Sunshine. And I just have to say one final point. I had a little flip with the celebration, and I realized my fear slayers helped me to realize that when I set out in this business 11 years ago, I had two goals. One was to help people, and the other was to make coaching accessible to my entire community. I have been wildly successful at both of those things for 11 years. And now, with this new knowing, with this revealing and healing, I've realized that I need to set some goals around making money and bringing my own well being into the equation. So I'm really happy to celebrate that with you all. And I'm so happy for this space and this conversation. And thank you so much. I hand it back over to you, Paul.
Thank you. Let's take a minute, everybody, in gallery view and just show our appreciation for Crystal. She didn't trigger us. She gently guided us to look at something differently. It was beautiful, Crystal. Just great. And this is another one of those episodes at the Oakland Center that we need to go back and watch, because it's so
Yes, we're gonna go back and watch it.
rich and full of good stuff. I wish I had time to I can't. I've got to do announcements. Thank you, Crystal. Okay, with that in mind, we have a lot of wonderful things going on. So let me tell you what's coming up. Are you ready, Mr. Peter?
I am.
Let's go, as Reverend Deb Hammond would say. This Sunday, November 26th, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman will be declaring and sharing about Oh My. And I'm sure she'll say it a little differently than that. Meditation is at 10 and our service is at 10:30. Next Wednesday, November 29th, we welcome Bethsaida Ruiz to continue the discussion on Oh My. Bethsaida is a Boricua, which is a Puerto Rican name for the island people. She is also a gender non-conforming Buddhist warrior and cultural abolitionist who brings an abundance of experience to her social justice work as a certified embodied life strategist, consultant, facilitator, trainer, and movement builder. With all that little bit of her bio, please put this on your calendar for next Wednesday night. She's an invited guest speaker, and I can tell you it's going to be phenomenal for all of us. Our meditation is at 6:30 and services at 7, and will, of course, be in Zoom. The center's administrative and bookkeeping office will be closed on Thursday and Friday, November 23rd and 24th for the Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy the day of gratitude with your family and friends, and know that we will not be having a Thanksgiving meal at the center this year. Now, Crystal posed a question, and her question is, how do you deal with the profane and through a sacred kind of way? Well, Reverend Sunshine has created an idea that I'm excited to share with you. We've talked about it, and I was able to experience it this Tuesday. So come, meditate, pray, and or walk the labyrinth in sacred contemplation. Bring your grief, your pain, joys, and sorrows to the sanctuary, which will be open on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 1. Now, like I said, it started on Tuesday, and we will be open Thanksgiving Day and every Tuesday and Thursday weekly after that. There will be a host to guide you. And if you'd like to be on the rotation schedule to act as a host, please contact Susan Brecker at sbrecker@oaklandcsl.org. This is the way I will be dealing with the profane, Crystal, is by attending this in sacred contemplation. We now have an amazing lineup of vendors for our Sunday, December 3rd holiday craft fair. Make sure to put the date on your calendar and be ready to explore the many artisan crafted wares ready for your purchase. I have a bunch of save the dates for you that's happening here at Oakland Center. So Saturday, January 13th will be Reverend Sally and Reverend Ikea's ordination. Save the date. Also, Saturday, January 20th, the 2024 Vision Board Party is coming. Save the date. We also have some CSL high-level events coming up. There's an hour with Dr. Sean Ginwright, author of The 4 Pivots. It's Wednesday, December 6th. Also in January, there'll be a 4 Pivots book study. As well, on February 19th through the 22nd, the 2024 Vista Conference in Charleston, South Carolina. So for more information, make sure you're getting our village news. I told you at the beginning how to sign up if you're not. And if your friends want to know, show them. Or you can look at csl.org. We have a wonderful group of folks that support our community in many capacities, and here they all are. Let's just take a moment to bless them and thank them. It's Thanksgiving Eve, everyone, and I'm so grateful for all their talents, treasures, and time that they devote in all the areas necessary to run the center. There's so much happening at our center, events, workshop, classes, and more. Please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for our newsletter, The Village News. Remember to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates and content you'll only find by liking and subscribing to Oakland Center. Please like us and subscribe to Oakland Center today. It's Thanksgiving. It's time to give thanks in our service tonight. So whatever your gift is for the center, just hold it close to your heart and follow along as I read our blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies this offering. It blesses all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. Thank you, love, as me. If you're moved to contribute financially to the center, it's really easy. Go to the website, click the donate button. Once you're there, there's several ways that you can contribute financially. There's that donate button for the credit card. I use that. I like it a lot. You can also mail it in at the address. You can also use Zelle or text if you're gifted in that arena. I'm not. I just barely manage the credit card. Or you can come on Sunday and put it in the basket. So for all of this gratitude for what you give financially, your time and your treasure, we all contribute in the pursuit and in the knowledge of knowing that we are creating a world that works for everyone. So in this moment on Thanksgiving, I want to say some thank you for some folks. First of all, Crystal, your delivery was wonderful. Thank you. I also want to thank Reverend Sunshine for giving us this platform on Wednesday nights and pursuing it with such wonderfully gifted speakers and helping us shift our perspective into a more broader expression of God in, as, and through us. So thank you, Reverend Sunshine. I want to recognize Reverend Deb Hammond in Savannah, Georgia tonight, who did our prayer for us on the spot. God is on the spot through Reverend Deb. I also want to thank Reverend Sally, who's in Florida with her daughter and her husband and having a wonderful time, but she co-shares on Wednesday nights and gives a lot for Wednesday nights. And so I'm grateful to her. I want to recognize Reverend Ikea, who supports us also as well in many arenas. And tonight, the Zoom team, the team behind the scenes that make everything look good and sound good, even me occasionally. So I want to thank Peter up in Portland. I want to thank my beloved Alice Squares, Alice's Squared, Alice Herndon, and Alice Knudsen. We're gifted to have you. And Constance, thank you for everything you do behind the scenes to put tonight together so we have a beautiful presentation. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to our speaker, the wonderful Crystal Fry tonight, to bring it, as she said, into this dimension, the goodness and the graciousness of the presence of our God. So Crystal, as we go and close our evening tonight, would you close us in prayer?
Yes, thank you so much, Paul. I can honestly say that my cup runneth over. I feel so much love and gratitude for this community, for the opportunity to speak and share and learn from all of you. So just take a breath with me. Sweet breath of knowing and stillness. And we know that God is all there is. Infinite, united, one creative source, one force that we all are. And I know this is true for me, for everyone on this call, and for every single person on the planet here with us now. We are one. And I give thanks for this sacred time in communion. I give thanks for my experiences and your experiences and all of the ways that God takes care of us. We extend out this love and gratitude and oneness that we feel here in community straight to the hearts of any human, anyone, any plant, any animal that is experiencing suffering. Amplifying and expanding God's love here in this dimension. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to know that the power of love is the greatest power of all and that we can use it. So I know this is so. I know that we all do what we are called to do and that all is well in divine right order, right here and right now. And so I just give infinite joyful thanks for all, for us, for this day, for this community, for the holiday upon us, and for all the goodness to come. I release, I let go, I let it be, and I just say, Amen,
Amen.
Ashe, Aho, and so it is, y'all.
So
Thank you
it
so
should.
much.